All right, we are back at it. Welcome back to the Trading Triangle. I'm your host, Trader Nate, and of course, with me we've got Sean Clark. How you doing, Sean?
Yeah, good, thank you. Ready for the week ahead.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Good to see you guys again. And Kay, we've got Kay as well. How you doing, Kay?
Man, 2 weeks, it was too long of a break. I was bored I was bored to hell, man.
I love it. Well, we're back, live on both X. You can find us on Wolf Financial at X or also at Trader Nate here, my handle on X. And then we're also live streaming on YouTube at The Trading Triangle. Fantastic channel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button. We are killing it over there, adding more content every week, and including these live streams that we do every Sunday. So thanks for tuning in. And a quick disclaimer, of course, we are not financial professionals or advisors, and none of this should be taken as financial advice or tax information or anything like that. This is purely entertainment and educational purposes, or for those purposes. We enjoy it. We hope you guys do too. Just like to share our trade ideas every week. And with that, I think we should get into them. Do keep in mind, we are taking audience requests. So send those tickers in if you're tuned in on X or on YouTube. Just drop comments below and we'll get to them and certainly run through additional tickers. We've got some, though, like we do every week, lined up. And we'll start with those. What do you say, guys? Get right into it.
Yeah, do you want to make a quick announcement on our changes coming up for next week?
I do. So you guys, next week, we'll keep the same Sunday. We're going to start an hour earlier. And make sure you mark that on your schedules. But we'll also, of course, put the live stream out there so you can just click the reminder. But we're going to start an hour earlier, so 1 p.m. Eastern. Thanks, Kay. That's right. And yeah, same content, same amount of good stuff, just starting it 1 hour ahead of time. All right, so getting into the overview for the week, we've got some red and some green across the board. Meta with a nice clean plus 7% caught my attention while NVIDIA kind of faded. But, markets didn't do great. Anything jump off the page for you, Kay?
No, mostly I was looking at Tesla for pretty much the entire week. It was up and down for Tesla. I didn't actually track much on the Big Seven, the traditional Big Seven this week, but mostly I was focused on Tesla.
The delivery numbers and struggling, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Definitely had a downside trade there that called out actually on my for my newsletter subscribers, and hopefully people took advantage of that. Did you trade that at all?
I did, yeah.
Nice. All right. How about you, Sean? Did you get on the Tesla trade?
No, I didn't. I did see it kind of wobbling around for the whole week, so that was interesting to see. Nice to see Meta up 7%, which is interesting compared to the rest of what's going on.
Really stands out.
Did Tesla get some news at the end of the week? I think they're up 3 or 4% after hours.
The robotaxi news.
The robotaxi,
yeah.
August, I think.
Yeah, so typical Tesla, right? You're not going to get just a straight move one direction or another. You get some volatility along the way. Are you guys looking at these levels here as buying opportunities? Just quick.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Nate, I have been, dollar cost averaging to my long-term position, and it's basically nibbling away here and there, not like, dumping a lot of cash in one go. But at these levels, it's like, I don't know if it's going to go down to 140. I don't know if it's going to go down to $100, right? So I'm just preparing. I have cash. I have the certain amount allocated, and I'm basically, adding here and there slowly as, it gets a pullback of 3, 4, 5%. And over a course of a couple months, you'll have a position built out.
Yeah,
I like
it.
Here. Yeah. Doing the same, Sean?
Pretty much, yeah. Just DCAing for a long term.
Yeah, that's the approach, right? If it drops from here, you continue to DCA. But you know how Tesla is; it's hard to get in. So I like that approach for sure. That was a 7% pullback. So yeah, take advantage if you are bullish for the long term. Be sure to get those ticker requests in, you guys. If any of these names that we missed, you want to hear us talk about later, we will get at them. But we'll keep this rolling to the Fear and Greed Index. The VIX got up to 16. What? All right. I thought it had kind of faded back down to the 13 handle, but I didn't realize it spiked again. Everything, all these, SPY, QQQ, Diamonds, IWM, everything down across the week. I noticed, though, Bitcoin back above 70K today. Did you see that, Kay?
No, I did not actually. I was busy with something else. But yeah, so the numbers, we'll have to update those as well on the deck.
Well, you know how Bitcoin is. We don't update it the second before we jump on. It could be totally, different. But yeah, it's up above 70K now. At least last I checked, it might be back below. But yeah, a little bit of a pullback this week. We'll get into those charts. Sean, did you have any thoughts around CPI, PPI this week? Are you going to kind of take it easy ahead of those events, or?
Yeah, most definitely. I think this is probably one of the bigger ones. We had January, February results to kind of peaked up a little bit. So it'd be nice to see if this one kind of comes back down and kind of goes the overall trend. But again, if it does kind of stay hot, then that is a little bit concerning. So it'd be interesting to see what the markets do after that. Yeah, that's kind of all I'm really looking for this week. But just be trading carefully around that kind of area, if at all. So I probably won't trade at all this week. I'm still taking a little bit of a break with trading. I still look at the markets. I take opportunities when I see a really good one. But yeah, I'm just taking a step back at the moment, really.
Nice. All right, that's not bad at all. We are in the greed zone still squarely, but not extreme greed. So there's still opportunity. We'll have to see. These charts are going to be interesting when we get into them. Shout out Trader AZ. Thanks for joining us as always. And let's keep it rolling. We've got a little bit of earnings this week to pay attention to. Banks at the end of the week really is what I'm paying most attention to. Kay, what's jumping off this week for earnings for you? Anything?
Pretty much at the banks, and I will say Delta on Wednesday.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like a kickoff. They generally are the ones they kick off the earnings season.
Yeah, and you got Delta earnings has my attention, but I'm actually watching the chart for American Airlines AAL. It's very interesting. I'm going to write about it in my newsletter actually today, so I'll get that out. But yeah, basically, I'm using the Delta earnings to trade American Airlines, if that makes sense. And Sean, any of these names jump off for you?
No, it's just it's nice to see earnings season kind of rolling back through, isn't it? So this is the start of the chaos, I guess. Best way to put it.
Yeah, I agree. This is going to be a very, very crucial earnings season.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, because the previous earnings season was mostly for the last quarter, right? Sorry, for 2023 last quarter. This earnings season is going to be the first quarter, which is generally weaker for most companies, especially in the retail sector, especially in, all the shoppings are done. So we'll really have to see. And then there was also weakness in the enterprise spending. So we'll have to really see those stock names like GitLabs and Snows of the world and Palantirs of the world. How is the first quarter treating from an enterprise spending standpoint?
It's going to be a lot of info to trade around, as always. I kind of like that. All right, well, let's see how it plays out. We got just like you said, guys, we're just kicking into it, so it's going to be a great trading session yet again in the coming month. I will say, this big red candle, jumping into SPY here, it is a little concerning. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. I'm not saying that anything's for certain just yet. I'm not saying we're rolling over, but this is the first signal I've got. This big red candle here is a bearish engulfing candle on Thursday, right? Completely wiped out. Basically jumped up, tried to hit new highs, and then just sold out back to this support level around 513. Got a nice little bounce Friday, but we are now below the 5-day moving average and have closed below it, more than 3 times. Tried to push up to it, but still below. So I could see things rolling over here. This is like the first time I've really felt like, all right, we might actually roll over, but I don't think we're going to see too big of a drop. We got the 50-day moving average coming in, and really at 500, which is a psych level, we've got a gap to fill and this Fibonacci level. So all of that to say, if we pull back, I would be looking at anywhere around 500 as a great place to add and potentially go long. That's where my head's kind of at. Otherwise, just kind of holding steady here. And accumulating cash. Sean, I'll throw it to you first. Anything on this chart jump off the page?
So this chart, I'm just basically staying away from until Wednesday when we get CPI, because that's got to be the massive catalyst, isn't it? I know it's every time it comes around every month, but
yeah,
it's got to move this market dramatically either way, depending on what kind of results we get. So nothing really to add. Obviously, it does look bearish, but again, if we do get a kind of a lower than expected CPI report, then we get 524 is going to be broken, in my opinion, to the upside. I mean, but obviously, if we get a bit of a hot print, I think 500 would be broken. I think we go that low. To be quite honest with you, I think we go below 500. But yeah, just waiting, sitting on my hands until Wednesday, basically.
There you go. No SPY for Sean until after CPI. I like that. How about you, Kay?
So I have a little bit of a different opinion here, right? We see that bearish engulfing candle, right? And Friday was actually not bad. And there are a couple of things also happening, right? So first, if you notice that on Good Friday, when the markets were closed, Jerome Powell was somewhere and he was talking about how the environment is still strong, and we might not need to cut a lot of interest rate. He wants to get the confirmation. So, and then we saw a couple other Fed members come out throughout the week in different fashion. They mentioned that, hey, we might only get 2 interest rate cuts, maybe even 1. So I think what is happening is they are kind of preparing the market, of maybe not having interest rate cuts, or maybe only having 1 or 2 throughout the year. I really think if Friday we had that another down sell day, then I would have been a little bit more concerned. But I mean, of course I agree with Sean that we will have to watch the CPI and PPI. But if you really go back and look at the data for CPI, you only had once or maybe twice that when the numbers came under. Most of the times it has been above what was expected, and one time it came as is. So I'm really not concerned right now. We may not break 524. We may oscillate, but at 510 you have a major volume shelf.
Yeah, that's interesting. The 510 volume shelf is noted for sure, and we've continued to power higher. So we'll see if it continues to just buy the dip here really quickly and eat it right up, or if we get a little bit more of a pullback. But I would say this is the first time I felt like there's any kind of actual real signal. Every other time we've been out here, it's just like it's going to keep going higher, right? So something to watch, but I'm still bullish. There's no doubt about it. The Qs are zeroed in on the 4-hour candles, and this is just to highlight that we're continuing to chop sideways, right? Retrace the entire 446 down to 434 range on, I think that was on Thursday. It's always hard for me to tell on the 4 hours. It was Thursday or Friday, but trace the whole thing, right? And so the range is holding, and I'm kind of looking for 434 to hold on the lower end and maintain support there. And if we break that, maybe we see some continued downside, where 446 for the Qs would be the upside breakout level. I'd be looking for an upside trade if we can break out and retest that level. Sean, that's kind of the setup I would imagine you're looking for, is a breakout of that range. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, exactly right. I think break upwards or downwards, actually, to be honest with you, like you said, with the 435-ish, 446. But again, obviously, to get that move, I think we get that this week, depending on what the results are. I know I've said it before, I said it with SPY, but it will break either way, I think. It's not going to stay flat, is it, on Wednesday,
Right.
Wednesday morning. So, but yeah, I mean, it looks like it wants to try and claw back up again. Obviously, we had a big kind of red day on Thursday, and it's just kind of retraced. I like the way it's retraced back above the kind of 50% level thereabouts. So it shows that the buyers are still there, and it makes sense in this market at the moment.
Yeah, I'm with you. How about you, Kay? What would you add?
I mean, similar sentiments over here, similar to the SPY one. I mean, looking at the options data, mostly on Fridays when the options generally close for the week for both SPY and QQQ, you generally have a little bit more put to call ratio, but it's not that bad. It's really pretty standard for week after week for these two indices.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll keep it going. Get into some tickers. Shout out Sabrina. See you out there. Thanks for joining us again. Also see the request for Tilray and ServiceNow. I got those noted, you guys. Interesting. Both fronts with Tilray reporting. But Sean, I'll hand it over to you. And we've got Oracle up first, right?
We do. And I think I actually had a question directed to me, which was, Sean, what about your T-rail position? Did you come out? I did. I sold out before the weekend a couple of weeks ago. It was about, I think it was like $2 to $2.30. So I made a nice bid on that. So just to kind of clarify if you're wondering that one. Oracle up first. So these are two stocks that I've never covered, and they're probably more so in Kay's ballpark. But I just like the setups. So we'll talk to this one, I guess, first for Oracle. So we can see it's kind of hovering around the 20 moving average. But we do have a resistance point of 127.40. And you can see it's kind of a fairly good resistance. And we pushed up basically on the earnings just recently. We tried to get above that, come back down, but we rejected quite hard. But it looks like we're trying to make another move towards that again. So basically, a breakout trade of 127.40 is what I'm looking for. But on the downside of that, so if we do get a bit of a weak week, that makes sense. A less strong week. I don't know how to explain that.
Week with an A.
Yeah. So if we break 123.50, then I see basically 117.80, which is a nice move, especially if you're day trading that. obviously depends what leverage you kind of have on that in terms of risk levels, whatever your risk appetite is. But really simple chart. I've kept both of them quite simple this week. Breakout trade to the upside or just a continuation downward move, breaking the support. What are your guys' thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I like the setup with the consolidation following this big gap up. And so, yeah, I'll be looking for the breakout that you highlighted there. I noted, I just kind of zoomed out on Oracle a bit, and it really moves on earnings, right? So it looks like it gapped down the last couple of earnings, and then, before this year in 23 had a couple of gap downs, and then most recent earnings, nice big gap up here before consolidation. So yeah, I'd be looking for that break above, just as you mentioned, getting above 127 first, but a nice retest there would be a good spot to go along. I'm right there with you.
Nice.
And honestly, I was tracking Oracle when it was like trading in the 106 to 110 range. I just didn't even track, like, I don't even know when did it move up to $132. As a support.
You missed it, Kay. You missed it.
Oh my god! But yeah, I think for me, I think I'll definitely wait for the pullback to happen for the gap fill. If not, then I'm not going to touch the stock. I'll let it run.
Yeah, if it does break that support, it could fade, right?
Yeah, because the volume shelf actually comes around your 113.91. That's where you see the majority of the volume shelf. So we could see because the dividend ex dividend date or dividend date is coming up soon. I think generally happens a couple weeks after earnings, so it should be coming up soon. So maybe we may see a little bit of pullback.
Blue D on there.
But if it keeps going higher, as Sean is looking for a breakout trade, I probably wouldn't touch Oracle at those levels. I like Oracle a little bit at a lower level, like 112, 13 range.
We'll see if you get it. We'll see.
Yeah, no. If not, then move on to the next stock.
Moving on.
All right, well, we should move on. There you go.
Awesome. So this is a similar sort of setup. So a push on earnings. This is Cloudflare, sorry, ticker symbol NET. You've probably heard of it. Kay's covered it a couple of times, I think, over the past. I think maybe you know, possibly.
I like this one. I might have covered it. Yeah.
Yeah. I see a little bit of confluence, not now, but potentially in the future. So if we can use this shelf, which is the 50 moving average, which is the pink line kind of running through the screen here, you can see the support it's had in the past, kind of earlier in the year. So January, February, you can see that where it's kind of pushed off of that, used it as a bit of a support line. We're kind of seeing that again now. You can see the buyers coming in around this kind of 50 moving average. But what I want to see is a nice push up basically above $100. I mean, you could get in now if you're feeling really, really risky in terms of getting in the move early, or you can actually start a position and add to it later on if it does complete that move above $100. But for me personally, I'd be waiting for it to get above $100 so it can come up, retest the $100 mark, maybe even 98 because that's where the trend line is. A little bit of extra support there. And obviously you've got the volume profile there on the right side as well. So there's plenty of confluence there, and you can see where Cloudflare is going to pull back over the earnings. Perhaps people thinking, actually, it's kind of retraced enough now. Should I get back in and start another move or add to my long-term position? That kind of thinking. But this one also is a bit of a bull flag setup. You can see where I've drawn kind of like a gold flag standard thing. I'm not going to continue talking. I've talked way too much. But, yeah, I'll hand over to one of you.
We're back. We're definitely back.
Yeah. Bit rusty.
I'll jump right in and say, so yeah, ticker NET here. It's definitely an interesting one to trade. And I have a shout out to TrendSpider for the anchored VWAP and Brian Shannon for the knowledge behind it. But I've used the anchor VWAP from the earnings gap that we jumped up to, and it's basically forming that upper trend line that it's been rejecting off of, and that's right at $100 right now. So I'm with you. I think a break above that AVWAP level and a retest, which is right at 100, it's also a psych level, and you've got all those other points of confluence. I would be looking for a nice another leg higher if we could get that move. And a rejection at 100, I would be just patient. If you're looking to go long, wait for it to see if it retraces back to the bottom of that channel. But that's my thoughts there. Kay, what about you?
So I think I agree with your points, and 100 is definitely the level that we should track for. The good news is that the price did end up after the 50-day moving average. So it did cross that. A couple things. So upcoming earning is going to be on 5/2. So about in a month or so, we do have 14 up revisions on this stock, especially with Cloudflare, and only 3 down revisions. So that's definitely going to set up the earning expectation for the stock. And if it's able to beat it, and they have had a very, very good run in the earnings history. They have missed their revenue once, and they have missed their EPS once. That's it, since they have started reporting earnings. So a very solid record of reporting earnings. So if we are expecting, we could see bounce back up to the 100+ level where it was after the earnings last time. We could see another gap up, but it could be you could build this position out over the next 3 weeks in anticipation of the earnings.
Good stuff.
Sounds like you want to play earnings.
Oh, 100%. I always play earnings on Net and GitLabs and others.
We're almost back in the thick of it. It's going to be great when we get there. All right, so where else can we find you this week?
Yeah, you can find me on X. I post fairly daily at the moment, but charts, insights, etc. around the markets, my kind of thoughts. YouTube, you can get me on there as well. Kind of trade ideas, weekly trade ideas, which is always fun to give them out to the people of the world. And of course, the Substack, which I don't really write on at the moment, but you can still subscribe to it. So I'm going to hand you over to Nate now.
Yeah, good stuff. Definitely give Sean a follow and check out his YouTube channel. It is top notch. I am a big fan myself. And let's get into some more charts here. I've got a couple lined up for us, and I do see the requests coming in. We got SoFi added to the list. We'll be sure to get to that a little bit later here in the show. And then, retail trader, question about minimizing the broadcast in the background. I'm guessing that you're watching on X, and it's probably not allowing for it. You could try the YouTube channel, the Trading Triangle, if you're having wanted to see if you can minimize and still work with this going on in the background. Maybe that helps, or vice versa. But I appreciate you guys tuning in, whether it's on X or YouTube, and I'll get right back to it. So here we go. Coupang, Cpng is the ticker, and actually kind of similar looking chart to what we were just looking at, right? With what you had, Sean, with Cloudflare. And we've got a little bit of a downtrend, and that yellow line there is the anchored VWAP from the gap up from its earnings. So what I'm looking at here is we've rejected, once already, a couple weeks ago here, a nice big upper wick against that same line. And then we, again, to close out last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, kind of faded. And that also happens to be at a fib level 1844. I want to make sure I got that right. And so all of that there, plus this trend line, I think we might see a fade here in Coupang, and it would be a short trade potentially. The premiums on these options tend to run nice and juicy. So if you already own 100 shares, I think this 1850 level would be a decent spot to sell covered calls at and collect some premium. And then conversely, you might be looking for some support at about 17, maybe 17 and a quarter. Which is near the next fib level. It could continue to drop, right, and trend lower. So I'm not as excited about that support unless we see a couple candles bounce there. More or less looking for a downside trade if markets do roll over and this continues to reject as it has been against its anchored VWAP. What do you think, Sean? Does this look like it's rolling over to you, or would you be looking for a potential breakout trade here?
So I'm going to take this one a little bit differently towards my normal thesis. And yes, I agree with you with the downside, actually. I do agree with you on the downside. But one of the things I've had in the past, I think you've actually brought this up before, is the 17 level I've got firmly drawn on my chart. So I'd be looking for a retracement down to kind of that 17 level. You can kind of see where the kind of volume is. It did try and get there recently, didn't it? About 1738. But yeah, basically a move lower would be good, and I'd be looking to get in at 17. I know it's not quite at the bottom of the channel, but that's, to me, that's a very strong level of support. And then play it upwards, if that makes sense. Keep a nice tight stop loss and play it upwards, probably towards again to the top of this channel, which by then it might be in about 18ish, 1750, which on a day trading standard is pretty good in my experience. But yeah, no, I agree. I think a move lower is looking very, very possible for Coupang.
Yeah, looking likely. And I like that. If I zoomed out, I get that 17 level firmly like you're talking about. And I'm using this recent, low to high in those fib levels. And so it's close to the 17 to your point. But yeah, that's right. If we zoom out, that's a strong level. I like it. Good call. Kay, what are your thoughts? Anything to add to CPNG?
Yeah, no, this doesn't seem like a lot of open interest on Coupon, but funny, 2 weeks from now, we actually have 3,000 open interest at $18 level. Sorry, 3,000. Yeah, 3,000. And then for next week, it's only 308. So it's a pretty big difference in the open interest.
That is the gap there.
And yeah, I mean, as I go out let's say 4 weeks out, yeah, the data is probably not updated on my side. Maybe that's the reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, the chart, I think, speaks volumes here. I do think that we're going to roll over, but we'll see if we get that 17 support level. I'll be keeping an eye on that. I'm going to keep it going here because I want to make sure we have time for these tickers. I see more coming in, guys. I see BA. We've got DG. I'll definitely take a look at those. And yeah. Oh, we got. Oh, no, never mind. They just shout out to Wolf. I thought it was a Wolf ticker. That always confuses me. All right, back to the charts. STZ is Constellation Brands, and they report this week. And check out this setup, you guys. I mean, I really like this. It's not one I usually trade, but it got my attention because of earnings, I think. So we had a rejection recently at 273, which was its prior high back in July last year. And then there's also this consolidation that it went through after that rejection back in July. Between 258, 263, call it 262.91. But yeah, 258 to 263, and just recently powered right through that and is now retesting that level. Got a nice little bounce off of the upper end of that range on Friday. I think it could trace back into that zone potentially, but I'd be looking for things to hold up there at that 258. And if it did, you have the 50-day moving average coming up as support right in that area, and I would like that to be a nice area for buying. See a nice uptrend we've got here that continues, and you have that volume shelf kind of sticking out right there at 260. So all of that is what I'm looking for here for a potential upside trade. If we do get a bit of a fade here ahead of earnings, or because I think it's on Thursday, or if earnings give us a pullback but it holds that 258 level, I think it's a great spot here for Constellation Brands. Have you looked at this one before, Sean? STZ?
No, I'd never heard of it at all, actually. Nice. Surprisingly, but no, could this be like an extended, like a bigger kind of cup and handle? Don't know if you said that.
It does look a bit like that, right? So you're saying from that high all the way over, we're hitting it. If we pull back, like I'm saying, and then come back up to it, that would give us that cup and handle.
Exactly right. I don't know if it really counts with that big spike in the middle there, but that's kind of the shape I'm seeing throughout the chart. In which case, I'd be looking for that 273 level to break. Might have to wait a little bit longer, be a bit patient with your trading, your emotions. But yeah, I think 273 for me would be the level. I've written it down, so that's what I'm looking at anyway.
Yeah, very nice. What about you, Kay? Have you messed around with STZ?
So I have not traded STZ, but I am a long-term holder of another company called Diageo, which is also in the liquor side. Yeah. And generally, what we are seeing is that because of the higher interest rates and the sales of these companies have really gone down, and this particular company did miss the revenue last. And then, of course, their gap actual of EPS was also a miss. They do have 10 down revisions for the upcoming quarter. So they are expecting that the sale for this quarter, which just passed, is going to be weaker going into the earnings season. So we'll see how that plays out. So that may also play out, and we might see a push down on the stock price.
Noted. All right. We'll see what happens here. Got earnings this week. STZ is a new name that we haven't really talked about, so I'm looking forward to it. You can find my comments on this because I am always full of comments at Trader Nate here on X. Also, where the live streams are, you can always find us on Sundays. In addition to at Wolf Financial, I also write for Wolf Financial on their Beehive newsletter every Sunday, and then I have my own A Trader's Education newsletter. I'll be posting more later today, my trade ideas for the week, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. And I appreciate everybody tuning in here to the Trading Triangle, because this is actually the most fun I have all week on Sundays. And with that, handing it over to Kay next. What do we got, Kay?
Awesome. Thank you, Nate. So, keeping in the same momentum of looking at SaaS softwares. So, for the audience, I did a video on my YouTube channel where I talked about 22 SaaS companies that you should definitely take into account, especially with the AI revolution. So, this one is GitLab. We did play the earnings last time, the last earnings, and unfortunately, we had a gap down. Both Sean and I, we did take a little bit losses on the earnings play, which is a binary event, as we say. But next earning is coming up on 6/6, and you will start to notice that for the GitLab, we have had a nice bounce of 200-day SMA. So that is a key critical level for this company. And you will notice another thing, that a lot of volume shelf actually sits above in the 58 to 63, maybe even going to $64 is where the most of the volume shelf is. So RSI is also down, almost near oversold territory. So I'm not saying that we might see some kind of a breakout next week or so, but going to the earnings, we may see this build-up happening. And with GitLab, and of course with any SaaS software, earnings could play either way. But with the strong earnings coming out, we could see a further breakout trade, especially if we start building out. So full disclosure, I do have a position, and my position is around the 200-day SMA. So I am playing for the earnings, moving for the next 4 weeks or so, building out for that trade. So it will be a swing trade.
Nice. Yeah, I like this 200-day bounce, by the way. I mean, that's a double test right there, double bottom off of the 200-day. That's pretty strong. It would be nice to see it get now back above, basically back above 60, right? And we'd really feel good about a continuation higher from there. So, I would be looking. This is a great area if you're looking to go long, in my opinion. And then if it gets above 60, if it continued higher strongly at 60, continuing to add there, that's kind of how I would trade that.
Yeah, I see a bit of a wedge actually, kind of starting from the earnings from the top of the wick there, which obviously punched down during the day. So if you drew it from there to kind of where we are now, I guess, for that kind of top trend line, and obviously on the bottom, the last two lows, should we say, kind of drawing a line there. If we can break out that kind of triangular wedge, that would be great to see. Just depends which way we go, and that's kind of around that kind of 58.50 level. If we can get above that and stay above that, I know Nate, you said 60. But if we can get above that and stay above that and challenge the 50 moving average, that would be ideal. Because like you said, Kay, as well, there's lots of volume, that kind of area as well. So there's lots in the way. What I don't want to see is the 200 moving average be broken. I mean, you can play that quite nicely, I think, if you're into shorting GitLab. But if you see it broken and that 50 moving average comes down pretty rapidly, in my opinion. So, we don't want to see that.
Good call. Yeah. Keeping it rolling, Kay.
Keeping it rolling. Yeah, exactly. Okay, another ticker, which is also in the SaaS space. And I brought this ticker, I think, before the previous earnings, a couple of weeks before the previous earnings. And we talked about, after the earnings, we had this massive gap up. So if you look at on your left-hand side on the RSI, when it went, like to the moon after over 70, we had this massive gap up. And look at the time from the previous earning to the last earnings, right? 2 earnings. It basically barcoded that entire whole quarter. And now we started to see this path, stock particularly, starting to fill that gap. And I don't know if you remember, Nate, I did mention that once it's beyond my price target, I just let the stock run and let the stock pull back for the gap fill. Now it's starting to bring my attention back to path, because now it's starting to come to the level where I'll be interested. So again, entry would be preferably around the 200-day SMA. Right now the RSI is down to, I think, below 30 almost. So this is something, again, we can play as a potential long-term swing trade. Again, you can use either stocks or you can use options play. I generally tend to use both, but this is something that I plan to add to my long-term position. It's an AI play also in the SaaS space. And this is actually one of the pure AI plays, because they were always in robotics, process automation robotics for the white-collar jobs. And with AI, that's just going to make the software run even better. So something to definitely take a look at it if you are not familiar with this company. The name is UiPath, ticker symbol PATH.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like we've definitely talked about this one. And I remember we were talking about with filling the gap, just let just in general, right? Let the gap fill and then take advantage of the bounce. I always look for a bounce off of a gap fill. That's really what, regardless of what direction you're going, you look for the reversal. And yeah, so this looks like it could be a good opportunity here. The fact that we're below the moving averages is not great, but that's the 200-day again, right? That's your entry, like you pointed out. So that's just great spot, right? You get the 200-day plus the gap fill. I mean, I'm with you in the fib level. So I'd be patient though. Like it's gonna be really tempting to get into a trade like this a little early. So that's the key thing, I think, is patience on this one.
Yep.
I love it. That $20 level is fantastic. You've got, I mean, you both kind of mentioned it throughout it, but there's 4 points of confluence. The camera's there, not there. And 4 points of confluence. You've got an RSI, 200 moving average, the fib level there, and the gap fill as well. What more could you want? I mean, that's just, screams setup to me. So I've written it in bold letters. Path, $20. Cheers, Kay. Next up.
Nice. More great charts. I love it. If you guys have more ticker requests, I've been jotting them down as we go, but do send those in. And Kay, where can we find you this week?
You can find me on both Twitter or X, as they call it, and on YouTube. So on YouTube, the stocks that we talked about Oracle, we talked about Path, we talked about forget the other one. Cloudflare, Net, yes, and GitLab. Yeah. All of them are part of a series that I did for 22 stocks. So definitely go check that video out and you'll get to see how you can invest in the SaaS space, because that is going to be the next stage of AI revolution, the second phase, apart from the semiconductor, if you missed the NVIDIA run. So you can check out my YouTube channel on that as well.
Good stuff. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and definitely check out what Sean and Kay put out every week. They put out just amazing content across all of these platforms. I'm going to switch it up now to our fun with charts, taking all these tickers.
We just got a compliment from our backgrounds.
Hey, awesome. We put a lot of thought and time in our backgrounds. I had to go find the right alley to get this. Then hang my sign. I appreciate that. Oh yeah, what's the double V we got? I think that was actually talking about GitLab when we were looking at GitLab. That's my guess. But yeah, drop those ticker requests, and you can see here I was taking a look at Cloudflare, and there's that that's that anchored VWAP I was talking about, right? Simple as just targeting that earnings. But all right, let's get into some of these. I think at the very top we had Coinbase. Should we start there?
Yes, your favorite stock.
I've eased up on it because every time here I'll show you guys. Usually right like around this area here, I start talking mad trash and then it does this, right? I think back here around 72, I was talking a bunch of crap about Coinbase and then it did this number. So anyways, it does continue to perform. So I'm just not a fan. You're all right. But we got this is actually a pretty nice looking chart, making higher highs and holding higher lows. Right? I guess you guys are probably seeing the same. Let me see, we got the 20-day moving average here, which it's looking to get back above. It did drop below, but the 50 is still well below. What am I not seeing just yet, Sean? Anything jumping off this chart?
Just potentially a bit of a rejection off the 20-moving average. I know you said it's there, but it needs to very quickly reclaim it if it wants to continue going higher. But that looks like a bit of a bounce. No, not bounce, a rejection, should I say, off of the trend line / 20-moving average you've just drawn. So yeah,
got to break this trend line, right? Okay, would you agree? Anything else to add for Coinbase?
No, but let me ask you this: we know that the Bitcoin halving is happening in April, right? So we are seeing that the Bitcoin price is very detached from Mara and other similar,
names like Coin and
Riot and everybody else, Hut. I don't know. Does Coinbase also move just like Bitcoin? I have never tracked that, so I don't know if that's also the case.
What were you saying, John?
There you go ahead.
I think it does, right? Is that what you're going to say? I think it kind of does move pretty a lot better than like Marathon Digital recently. Those miners, I think, have been struggling a bit, but Coin. I think if you see this continuation above 70K this weekend with Bitcoin, I'm expecting Coin's going to run. And I would look for it to get above 270.55 to feel really good about another leg higher. Otherwise, we might just continue to kind of chop and maybe gradually move up. That's how I'm looking at it.
It's crazy. We're talking about 270 when a year ago it was literally $70. I really think you missed something. Yeah.
Do you guys want to go higher? All right, ready? I really hate Coinbase. I think it's terrible. All right, go enjoy next week, everybody. Kidding, Coinbase.
All right.
Kidding,
So-
just of course. Let's see. I saw oil stocks mentioned. So
you wanna pull up ExxonMobil and look at that chart? Oh my god.
this is what you want. Right?
Oh my goodness. This is like going to the
So
I'm
Sean,
pretty
you
sure-
mentioned
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we called out the 104 level, didn't we? Not so long ago.
absolutely did. Yep, we were ready for this breakout. We got it, and it has given no pullbacks. Right? Like if you got in, great job on this red candle that retested that 104. But if you missed it, yeah, that's been quite the run. And I would say now, Sean, what do you think? Cup and handle, maybe get a little bit of a pullback and then get back above 120, or do we just keep
Exactly
running?
right. Yeah. I think yeah, a little bit of a pullback. It's natural. It's normal. It's actually probably healthier for the stock.
Right.
But with this market, you just never know. But yeah, I'd be looking to kind of get in around that 113, maybe 114 if it does pull down that aggressively. But we do have a catalyst obviously on Wednesday as well, which might help that. So we'll see. But it doesn't look like it's stopping anytime soon, does it?
It really doesn't. Like, let's pretend it does stop there. Right? That's our high. Effectively, yeah. I mean, we could pull back all the way back to about this 112. It gets a little messy with all those levels in there, so I'll remove this fib. But just trying to see like what would make sense from a Fibonacci level. And if we pull back to this 112, 113 kind of area, that would be nice and healthy, get some support there and continue higher. That's your buying opportunity, I would think, for something like ExxonMobil.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I would definitely watch for. I mean, this is a stock that I generally don't tend to get in once it starts pulling back the whole energy sector. So I'm going to wait for the pullback on this one.
Did you guys see Occidental?
No.
Oh my goodness. All right, just real quick.
Oh my goodness, another one.
OXY.
Take
Yeah,
a
so
word take off.
look at this candle on Friday. I mean, just absolutely blast off, right? This huge candle. It's finally broke above the 67 level. I mean, if you zoom out, you can see it's really just gone sideways for a long time and unable to get above 67. Got there, got to 70 last week. So pulled back a little, closed at 69.25. But just an incredible move by Oxy. I bet you it fades a little from here, but big move.
I think that's true with all the energy stocks right now.
Yeah, they've been making a move. I think we have more upside, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback first. All right, what else do we got? What should I go to next? Tilray?
Yeah, why not? They've got earnings on Tuesday, haven't they?
Yeah. So TLRY. I've got a tickle, so
Yeah, I didn't do my normal rule of letting my winner run because it was going into the weekend. I don't like to hold stuff over the weekend. So seeing at 260 is marginally depressing. But you can see a nice little move recently. I think the whole sector's kind of running, I think, isn't it? But MSOS, I think, is the ETF I brought up a couple of weeks ago as well.
it is. Yeah, MSOS is really making. Here's Tilray real quick, but yeah, let's look at that too. Huge move, big pullback though, Thursday, Friday. Kind of interesting, but well above the recent peak. So you like that. Maybe it's going to retest and get a bounce. So, I mean, it's tough when these shares are trading around 250. You can get some pretty, big moves in either direction. But it does look like a decent support level.
That's why one of my rules is to not hold penny stocks over the weekend. Yeah, definitely. You never know what's going to happen with them.
Yeah, and you can see it's been a tough go. So even though we had that big spike, still got to get above 350, I would call it, to really feel like this is rounding and starting to move higher. Otherwise, we're still trending lower. But yeah, let's look at MSOS. How has that been doing since we looked at it? I have some opinions. Maybe we get a little something like this. But this looks like that cup and handle as well, kind of, right? Got a little bit of a pullback. What are your thoughts on this, Sean?
I think getting above that 1050-ish level, I think would be the key. Coming back down, retesting and moving high. You've kind of got the arrows going that direction. But yeah, that's it really. I've not much to really say apart from just kind of getting above that 10-50 level. That's generally how I look at charts. I try and look for breakouts, as you guys know. Would you trade the range on this, K? Probably not, I guess.
No, I tend to stay away from these kind of stocks.
Yeah, it's not Kay's favorite. I remember you saying that.
Uh,
All right, let's get to one that I know Kay will like. How about ServiceNow? Ticker
and that's
NOW.
massive, right? Yeah. I was actually looking at the chart right now for ServiceNow.
Yeah, look at this consolidation and a bit of a. I mean, immediately looks like we got a little bit of a wedge going. Right, something like this. Kind of a quick and dirty. Let's see. I guess I can go here. Something like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have thoughts on ServiceNow?
Well, the earnings is coming up on 4/24, so about 3 weeks from now, and they have 25 up revisions, so they are expecting ServiceNow to beat the earnings. I think right now, I think in general in the SaaS space, everybody's talking about AI, right? So what basically they are doing is how is AI, whether it's powered by ChatGPT or any other model, is how they are using the ChatGPT or whatever the is within their software to automate a lot of function. So the more the AI word is thrown around by the software companies, I think the more momentum it will build, and we could see further highs. So, but this is a good sign that we are seeing for ServiceNow. It's barcoding and preparing for the earnings, and just like every other earning, you will see a massive volume. If as long as they beat the earnings and EPS, most likely you will see a pop on that day, and then probably pull back and barcode again, unless there's a massive gap up because of some reason.
It's been moving kind of nicely. Do you like this chart here, Sean?
I do, yeah. Especially like the kind of peak and volume as well on Friday. Especially with the Friday, don't really get many peaks and volume there.
Yeah,
But also the RSI is curling as well. So it makes me think that maybe buyers are kind of looking at this one for potential breakout, that kind of wedge that we've got. I'd probably stay away from it personally. I've got enough on my watch list this week, but I'd be yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to get overwhelmed with the watch list. Another way I could draw this, by the way, I think would be something like this. And not perfect, but I like this kind of a setup where we have a flat upper level for the triangle. I mean, it did have this big spike, so technically it probably more is a wedge. But what my point is when you get this tightening up, usually that's waiting to break out to the upside. When you have the upper level holding, but that continuing to get higher on those lows. So I do like this setup for ServiceNow, especially coming from all of these lower levels and then finally barcoding, like you said. Okay, not bad at all.
Yep. I think that will happen until the earning, and that would be the catalyst for your,
You go higher.
Yeah.
Yes, I kind of like accumulating below 793, call it, in anticipation of that. All right, so SoFi popped up here. What do you think, Kay?
Well, I mean, I pretty much have a pretty standard line on this one. Anytime it dips below $7, I add open options, and then basically trade above. It dips below because 7 is a very major level. A lot of volume shelf happens, and it has a lot of support. Dips below, I buy it, and then if it's a trade, I'd let it run, sell it for profit.
Gotcha. So $7 is key for you, much like 17 for coupon is key for Sean and I. 17 there, 7 here for SoFi.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can see kind of I don't know if I want to call this a reverse head and shoulders, but kind of, right?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
So maybe if we break above 764, we can get another meaningful push higher. But that looks like about the neckline.
But 784 is your 50-day, which will act as a resistance for the stock.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, if it's not able to get above that 50-day, probably see additional rejection here. Sean, anything you would add?
Not really. We covered it quite nicely. I think what I would add is when this stock starts to move, you'll probably get a bit of a kind of FOMO attachment to it. So watch out for that. Yeah.
I think I'll add one more thing. I think for stocks like Palantir, SoFi, the retail favorites, I think when you're trading the stock, have the trading mentality. Don't bring your investing mentality when you're trading, right? So you decide on your exit criteria and stick with it, upside or downside. I think what ends up happening is you are looking, you're thinking of investing, but your mindset is trading, or vice versa, and that gets into hot waters.
Nice, good stuff. Hey, real quick, I'm gonna interject. Shout out, we got some friends out in the crowd. Shout out to Paper Gains and Maple Stacks. See you guys out there. Appreciate the support. Tuning in, and we do this every Sunday. In case you guys didn't know, every Sunday about this time we're gonna up it to an hour earlier next week. So everybody that didn't catch us at the top of this, we're gonna be tuning in at 1 p.m. Eastern starting next week, and we'll have a special guest as well that we'll talk about here in a bit. But yeah, let's keep rolling through these tickers. Let's see. So we've got a couple that we haven't really touched on in the past. We got Dollar General, DG. Either of you trade Dollar General?
No,
I
no.
have not. No.
I have not
Done
either.
Dollar Tree before.
Say again, Sean.
I've done Dollar Tree before. I think it's Dollar Tree. Is it Dollar Tree?
Yeah.
Dollar Tree. Yeah, I've traded them before, but not Dollar General.
So this looks a little bit tough. Here's how I would look at it, right? You've got all of this overhead supply. So as we reach these big levels, you're going to get a tendency for selling, and those who are unhappy with their losses, as soon as they can get back to break even, you're going to get a lot of selling pressure. So getting back above 170, getting towards 175 is going to be key for Dollar General. Otherwise, I could see this continue to reject and continue to move lower. This is making another attempt here. I mean, no doubt about it, right? Trying to get back above, filled this gap down. So now just kind of barcoding. So maybe it's going to give that shot, but I'm not looking at it till it really moves above 170 and maybe retest that level. All right, that's quick on Dollar General. Boeing came up.
Boeing.
I'm afraid to touch this one. Just kidding. Yeah, what are your thoughts here, Kay? Any strong thoughts about Boeing?
Man, it's like it's a downward trend. I mean,
It's like looking at Neo chart.
Yeah. I mean, this looks like a 179 seems like a decent support level. I guess it did get bounced from that level, so 179.66 like a couple times, but seems like the 20-day continues to be a resistance level. It got rejected 1, 2, 3 times on my chart.
Yeah, I think that I mean, this is messy. I've been annotating all over the place, but notice here, right here between 197 and 199, this has been support. Pretty strong support, then a little bit of resistance, and after trying to come up as support again, all this bad news, it's now I think going to be big resistance for Boeing. So even if we come back and test this 197, you're basically just shy of 200. I think it's going to be tough to get over it, but that's just me looking at the chart. And there's just been I think there's even more new headlines coming out this weekend about Boeing. So it's a tough one. I would say if you want to trade the short side, I'd be shorting the pops. But otherwise, from a long-term perspective as well, if you like Boeing, it's a duopoly, and these might be good levels to start adding at around 180. Again, one I'm probably staying away from myself personally.
I mean, unless you actually have a long-term position,
right,
where you are adding to it. I mean, I think from a trading standpoint, I'd stay away from the trading standpoint.
If you've got a long position, you want 178 to hold, definitely, because that doesn't look very nice if you go below that, does it? And then if you're in a short position at the moment, then you're probably licking your lips and hoping it goes below 178, because it looks like kind of heavy support, or 177, whatever you're drawing there.
171, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it will 172, 173 is the next support level. So, and then wow, let's not go there.
Let's hold the set 170s for Boeing. All right, good stuff. Hey, this just makes me laugh because Nikola popped up. I just pulled it up because it's funny.
Oh, that company is still there?
That's exactly why I was kind of laughing. I'm surprised it's still around too, but because after Homeboy went to jail and all of that. But look, we got a little bit of a pop recently, so someone's putting money into this penny stock. Personally, I wouldn't touch it. I was surprised it's still on people's radars. All right, I'm just gonna keep it rolling unless you guys really have any strong sentiment on KLA. All right, good stuff. Almost irresponsibly pulling that up. Small caps, IWM. Here's the daily. I have some opinions on IWM. Are you guys tracking this at all?
Definitely, because I believe for the next pullback, I definitely see like adding to the IWM position.
You're adding on the pullbacks?
Yeah.
How about you, Sean? You trade IWM or a small cap index?
I do actually sometimes. Yeah, I think we've got a nice little bit of a channel kind of going upwards now. You can see that fairly clearly just looking at the screen. Looking for a break either way, upwards or downwards. At the moment, downwards looks a bit more likely, especially with the kind of CPIs recently coming a little bit hotter. But again, if we get a good one on Wednesday, then of course that's going straight back to the top of that channel, in my opinion. But yeah, I think as long as we stay above 199, I think it was we had on our radars before. That's a good level. I know that's below the trend line, so that's an interesting kind of what's the word? Not really sure what the word is, but yeah. So yeah, so far so
IWM,
good.
I think you're kind of nailing it because it's been frustrating for me anyways, right? Like it gets above 200 and it pushes above 205 where I'm thinking, okay, great. We're going to hold 205, really 204.26 is the fib level. And then it kind of fails back below, but doesn't quite get below 200, holds the 50-day. And now we're making higher highs and higher lows. So I want to be bullish, but for some reason, it's just not making me feel great. So, but we are in this upward trend. And if we're going to get a bounce here off of 204, I mean, this is a spot to go long, in my opinion. So I'll be looking for this 204 to hold, continue higher, and try to get to 214. I have 214.61 next.
Are you trading it?
I'm not trading this one. I probably should. Maybe I'll look at this to start of next week because I do kind of like the setup here. I feel like IWM just tortures me though, if I'm honest. John Deere came up. I do like DE, and Caterpillar's been crushing it. So let's look at Caterpillar.
Was it John Deere or Donut Krispy Kreme?
Oh, I did see Donut. Let's look at that first. You're right. I missed that.
You will love that chart.
Whew. What's going on with Krispy Kreme? Did I miss some news?
The last I heard was that McDonald's was selling Krispy Kremes, but that was a long time back, right?
I missed the news. We'll have to see if there's news this week, but that's a huge gap up, massive candle for Krispy Kreme. I feel like I'm missing the news. Drop it in the chat if you guys know what's going on here. But that is quite the breakout, and it looks like it held the gap, held above the gap up. So you're getting a lot of volume coming in here between $14 and $15. Call it $15.30. And yeah, I would be looking to try to get back above 18 next, I guess. 17.85 was the high of that recent spike. Really curious of what that is.
It's McDonald's news. That's what
it was. The McDonald's news? Is that recent?
Krispy Kreme partnerships with McDonald's, game changer for business, analyst reports.
Man, I don't know. That sounds interesting. I actually think there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the fast food space. I'm not sure which direction it's going to go, but there you go. Get some partnerships going on. Looks like we had the profit taking, I guess let's do this. Let's zoom out really quick because this is interesting. So this is the weekly, and look at this, right? Like just unable to get above this level here. What are we going to call this? Let's go here. Yeah, roughly 1560. We could really call it 16. It looks like, 1598, 16 is really the tough level to get above. It tried and it's failed. So I'll be looking for a move above 16. I mean, that seems like to be the key resistance. And then if we can get there and get a bounce, maybe a continuation higher. Definitely add this to your guys' radars now, your watch list.
Yeah, especially that volume.
Totally.
What was that, Sean?
The volume's increasing, isn't it? So
yeah, massive.
But it could be a kind of people trying to make a quick buck, perhaps. So it could dissipate. So the volume needs to kind of stay up, I think.
Yeah, this amount of volume is more. I mean, I don't have the number here, but I'm thinking institutional buying, right? So if you get, just from a general standpoint, you get a big institutional buy come in, they're going to round out that position and continue to add. So I don't know if that's what's going on here, but you can look for continued spikes in volume here just to hold the share price up. That might be what you're seeing, what we would be seeing there. That'll be interesting. All right. So thanks for circling back to that, you guys. John Deere, I want to get to that one because this chart has been powering higher and it did get above, it kind of had a bit of resistance here back in the end of 23, right at 400. And now we're above and kind of retest and continuing power higher, holding above the 5-day moving average like a beast. Do you guys trade John Deere? Any thoughts here?
No, it's part of my long-term position, but not trading.
Sean, you familiar with this one?
Yeah, I'm familiar with it, but I never traded it before. I think coming out of that volume profile will be the most important thing for me.
So here's what I would tell you. Yeah, I think, by the way, just quickly on the chart, I think I'm looking for a break above, and honestly, 417 would be more comfortable. But yeah, this volume profile up above 414, 415 would be ideal. What I would say, though, is with John Deere, if you're trading options, there tends to be pretty widespread on those options. Okay, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not the easiest, the most simple options trade. So if you're diving in for the first time trading options and John Deere is what you're looking at, just take a note of those spreads. It makes it a little bit more difficult to trade.
Yeah, so the spreads are bad and the open interest is very low. We don't want to trade options on this one. Like
Now,
the open interest like 65, 25, 13, like that.
Now, conversely, if you look at Caterpillar, look how much nicer of a chart this is, and I believe the options are far more liquid, and very similar, kind of company to trade. So I actually like trading Caterpillar more, but for long-term positioning, I understand why you would be in Deere as well.
I think 100%. Yeah, they have much more volume in the open interest.
Yeah, so just from a pure trading standpoint, so if Deere can get back above, though, like I mentioned, 415, maybe retest this volume shelf and then push higher, targeting 437 next. That would not be a bad move to see play out. But the chart's not great, so I'm not overly excited about it.
I think we had AMD.
Well, we got AMD.
Yeah, I think someone asked for AMD recently.
Yeah, would have liked to see it get above and hold above 180 after that sell-off, but we got a nice rejection, unfortunately. You have any immediate thoughts, Sean?
It just doesn't look very good, does it? I mean, I was in a position around about 180, and obviously with all the volatility that week, I did cut it before the weekend. I think it was not this week, but the week before. So I just kind of cut it and moved on. And I'm glad I did because it's obviously kind of moved lower. We did speak about, I think Kay mentioned it at 162, 163 level.
Yep,
So
162.90. That was the 50% retracement on the Fib.
So we basically got to wait for that to kind of hold. And if that breaks, semis take a bit of a downturn, then yeah, I don't think it's looking very good. 150 maybe ish.
AMD used to be my regular trading. After it ran out, I stopped trading AMD altogether.
Yeah, there are a lot of great opportunities in the semiconductor space. So I would say don't force it. Don't fall in love with AMD if that's just like the name you picked to trade in semiconductors. So you want to get on the action. This is not a great looking chart currently. I like AMD for the long term, but yeah, we got earnings coming up in a few weeks, end of the month, and yeah, just not a great looking chart. Maybe it'll make me eat my words, but from a trading perspective, I would just look at other opportunities myself.
I think next one was First Solar, FSLR.
I do like FSLR. You guys remember it was trading so nicely. Remember this time frame? This is so great. From all of 22, it just kept laddering higher and higher, and then it finally decided to roll over. Yeah, which was a bummer to see. And you can see this 160, 164 level that I drew was resistance. It looks like we broke above and retested. So maybe we start to see continuation higher here. I would be looking to get above this resistance here from prior attempts. So call it right around 170, 750. And if we can move above that, yeah, I'll be targeting get to 194 next.
Absolutely.
Was it First Solar your pick of the year?
It's part of it, yeah. So it's in the ECF that I picked, yeah. Yeah, so it's nice to see it kind of moving nicely. Having a line that you've drawn in the past and then look back at the stock and having it bounce perfectly, isn't that a nice feeling, Nate?
It really is.
Yeah, I like that too. But it's also quite frustrating if you haven't played it as well.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're getting this brought to our attention now because this is just now getting above and retesting that long, like you said, that trend line that goes back or that support resistance line that goes back. So, yeah, we're seeing some tightening up here too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. If you bring up end phase, it's doing the kind of opposite, which is interesting.
Actually, somebody just asked for end phase. If you want to pull that
let's take a look.
They had, I think it was 7% down. I think on Friday. Not a good day.
Ooh, yeah. After a
it's
big
not ugly.
wick.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's still above that kind of trend line. It's kind of coming upwards. I've drawn a wedge on my chart, so it's still well within that kind of range. But it's not doing as well as First Solar, of course. But we'll see.
So Iris Capital, that he said, Jim Cramer said buy this stock. Was it?
Which one? Which one?
Yeah, yeah. Solar said Jim Cramer says buy for this stock. IEP.
All right, I'll jump back to that one. IEP, you said?
Yeah.
All right,
Sell,
hold on
sell,
one
sell.
sec.
I don't know. Should we sell that stock now?
Well, real quick on M-Phase, because this has caught my attention. I did draw this anchor VWAP from the October 27th earnings, and it's respected it pretty well here thus far. So maybe we're going to get a retest here of about 109.50, 110, and get a bounce. That would be ideal to continue higher, but you are going to have to contend with getting above this resistance level at 136.
I think the 200 moving average is just above it as well. So that's another kind of point of resistance.
Gotcha.
Be aware of that.
Real quick, back to First Solar, and then we'll jump to IEP. I just wanted to comment because I kind of blew past it. I do like this setup. You're getting higher lows, tightening up here. We got above this 160, 164, and now we could see it break above 177. If it breaks above, I would look at entering on a retest potentially at 177. That'd be a nice spot if you haven't gotten in already. All right, let's look at this one real quick. IEP. Whew. Icon. Why is this familiar? I don't know why this is familiar.
Yeah, you're right. This sounds familiar.
But this is one that is a buy?
Yeah, that's from Jim Cramer, yeah.
Oh, man, what is he seeing in this? Because that's an ugly chart.
What do they do?
Good question. Let's take a look.
Let's see.
But yeah, I will say the anti-Jim Cramer trade, I don't know that it's been working as well lately. I think that it's kind of faded and that he's figured it out and he's been saying the opposite of what he thinks just to kind of mess with everybody. So Icon Enterprises is engages in investment, energy, automotive, food packaging, real estate, home, fashion, and pharma businesses. It sounds like a conglomerate.
Yeah.
But it looks like the energy segment refines and markets transport for fuels. So it's definitely tied into the energy sector, and that one might be worth just looking into if it's getting some attention. But I don't know. The chart looks terrible, so I would stay away from that one. All right. Anything else we want to touch on this week? I see CRM. Let's get them.
Should we bring up Tesla as well, just for old time's sake?
I think I also saw Neo somewhere.
We'll look at Tesla and Neo. Let's take a look at CRM first, and then we'll go do exactly that. And then we'll wrap this thing up. I like it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Trading Triangle over on YouTube. We appreciate the support there. And you guys seeing anything here on CRM that I'm not? Yeah, I think we got a bit of a wedge.
I mean,
similar to Cloudflare, isn't it? Kind of looking to break up to the upside.
Let's see when the earning is. I think earning is coming up soon. Yeah, 5/29. Oh, 2 months from now.
So looking to hold, I would say this level here, which is right about 293. I'll actually get that penciled in. And if we can hold 293 and continue to bounce off of that, looking for a wedge break. But a little bit of consolidation after a nice move higher. Not a big move post those recent earnings for CRM. And then, of course, they had big news earlier in the year, right? I think was it their CEO?
That was Snow.
That was Snow too, but I think CRM, it was last year actually. I'll have to go back and look, but I think that's what I was getting at, though. The whole point of me bringing it up is we're past that. Look, stock is moving higher. We got a bit of consolidation here, and I wouldn't, I'm not loving these lower highs, but if we get a break above this wedge and it can push back towards 318, you might see a continuation there. So that's what I'd be looking for, but mostly holding that 293 level. Want to hold that level.
Yeah.
All right, so we said Tesla and Neo. Let's do Tesla first. So this downtrend is not breaking. That is what I was looking for. You can see my annotations here, and we did not get it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this bad boy. But I was looking for a break, and that trend line is holding rather nicely. If you're looking to sell, and if you're actually looking to accumulate, we might see some more downside. I would not be surprised to see this 144 level come into play. If, again, we can't break this trend, which we've just not been able to. I say we like I'm a part of Tesla. What do you think, Sean? Are you looking to accumulate, or any immediate thoughts on Tesla?
Well, I'm always looking to accumulate, that's for sure. But I think with the news obviously happening on Friday, a little bit of a push on the after hours, it'd be interesting to see if that can hold up. Like you say, you got a lot of resistance in the way, especially around that kind of 180 level. 184, I think I have on my chart, so I've got that one, ready to go. But yeah, I mean, it's in a downtrend, isn't it? So it'd be basically looking to break out of that. But yeah, interesting to see. I think it can, because Tesla can do that, can't it?
Yeah, and honestly, I feel like Tesla will move when the time will come. I think for now, taking advantage of the downward pressure to accumulate for long term. That's my strategy personally.
Nice. I did post a downside trade. I think it's, you could still trade it to the downside, but it's made such a move. I'd be looking for support to break this trend to get a nice big push for some upside. That's what I'm hoping and waiting for. We'll see what we get. Sean, Neo, what's the latest? You are our resident expert.
I like your sell-off arrow. That's good. Did you?
Yeah, I got to remember what these notes here. So we had this, this break of support here, and then the sell-off. I can't remember. I must have posted this for my newsletter at some point, but we continued to sell, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not great to be a Neo investor at the moment. I mean, it is in terms of what they're doing with the company, but it's not in terms of stock price. But that, you kind of hinted towards it there, Kay, with Tesla. In bad times, and if you like the company, you just kind of keep adding. So I'm kind of dripping in here and there. Red days, obviously, I tend to buy. I never really buy on green days because you never know with how it can go on a green day. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing in terms of way of support. I think I've got 430 on my chart, which is where we kind of are now, thereabouts, and that goes way back to obviously kind of 2020-ish. So we're looking for just basically a little bit of strength, to be honest with you. But there's plenty in the works for Neos. It's just a case of kind of turning that corner and getting people excited, getting people looking at it again, and that's when the kind of price action kind of moves, I guess. But yeah, I'm still bullish on Neo, that's for sure.
Nice. Kay, you have any thoughts on Neo?
No, I mean, if it keeps falling $3, then it starts to become, an exciting proposition here, because you could trade for the upside on some catalyst news, like say, for example, you get it at 350, 380, $4, right? Get it to 6 or something. That's a good trade, just like SoFi, right? 7, you get in, you take few cents for profit.
I mean, I posted that the other day on a video. Even a retracement back to 7, which is obviously a key level, that's 50% from here, which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, would I buy Neo at $12, $10? Probably not. But at $3-4, it starts to, you're like,
Yeah.
So yeah, you're looking at these levels for long-term accumulation. I'll say in a short-term trading kind of scenario, this is going to be tough to get above this 550 to 6 level, right? Because you've got some buyers and sellers in here. They're going to have to battle it out. But if we can get above 615 in the near term, I think you might see an attempt back at 7 pretty quickly. But the trend is still lower, so we'll have to see what happens for Neo. It's been a rough go.
So Nate, just on the option side, right? 33 days out option, so expiring on 10th May. For a $4, you're getting 21 cents. That's pretty good.
There you go. So you take advantage of these options. Thinking about it, Kay? Sounds like you're thinking about it.
I don't know, maybe.
Guys, I think that's all the tickers we can take, but I see some requests about leverage tickers, and that's a nice segue. So let me go ahead and wrap up the charts for right now. And again, another great week. Glad to get back at it, you guys. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Well over 2,000 of you tune in yet again for another great live stream. So, we'll be back next week at 1 p.m. And when I mentioned the leverage tickers, we've got Granite shares joining us after our regular show. So we'll get into a bunch of different tickers they've got. Go check out what Granite shares offers in the meanwhile, and we'll dive into it with Will, get some detail after our stream, which again, will start at 1 p.m. Eastern next week. And then Sean, Kay, great to be back on with you guys. Missed it getting away. For the coming week, I'm going to be waiting CPI, PPI. I know that's a little bit bland to start the week, but I think it makes most sense to wait for those numbers to come out and, trade accordingly. And we'll get after it. I'm sure I'll be posting lots of ideas on the timeline. Sean, are you going to be I know you said you're going to be waiting. You have any names in particular you're focused on, or is it kind of a wait and see for Wednesday?
It's definitely a wait and see. Yeah, what I would say, if you are trading until then, I would probably just concentrate on smaller positions. Obviously, it's going to be quite volatile going into it, choppy perhaps. So if you are going to trade, take the small wins, get ready for Wednesday, and just be careful, sit in your hands, be patient, and trade safe. That's all I
Get
want to
those
say.
small wins. They compound, right? That's
They do.
exactly what
They
they
really
do.
do.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. Nothing different. Just playing it based on how the CPI PPI happens, and basically managing my older trades that were still open, like Snow and Datadogs, for the coming weeks.
Nice. Good stuff. Well, I'm looking at DraftKings. We didn't mention it, but DraftKings could continue higher. I thought it was going to fade. It's setting up interesting. So that's another one I'll post about a bit. But yeah, looking forward to it. Appreciate, again, everybody tuning in. Kevin, I see you out there. Appreciate your appreciation. And we'll be back next week. And again, stay tuned throughout for all of our trade ideas as we post them on X and on YouTube. Until next week, the Trading Triangle says thanks.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye.